Psych 101 students. Hi, this is Professor Rubenstein. You wonder why I'm wearing this ridiculous thing? Well, it's to teach you about sleep apnea. I can't really talk while it's on me, but we are doing week 5 this week, which is states of consciousness, and I have to wear this thing every night to sleep. It's a CPAP machine mask, so stop feeling sorry for yourself to having to wear a mask all day, because I wear a mask all day, and then I have to wear this mask all night to be able to sleep. And what this means is that about a year ago, I was really having a lot of trouble sleeping, and I didn't understand why. I was waking up in the middle of the night, my heart was pounding, I was sweating, I was in a panic, and it turns out that I was stopping breathing about 20 or 30 times every hour because of sleep apnea. So my breathing was just really bad, and this ridiculous thing actually saves my life. So up here, there's a hose, and it goes to a machine, and it blows air, believe it or not, down my nose all night long. And if you think that sounds horrible and uncomfortable, it really is. It took me about a year to get used to sleeping like this, but now I sleep pretty well like this. And that's from sleep apnea. We're going to be talking about sleep as one of the many states of consciousness. Sorry about this Band-Aid. I had a little skin cancer thing there tested, so it'll be gone soon. So consciousness, what is consciousness? Consciousness just means you have an awareness of yourself and your surroundings. So human beings have a state of consciousness. So do many animals. They know that they are themselves. So for example, chimps will look in the mirror. If you put a dot on a chimp's forehead, it will look in the mirror and then touch that dot. It knows that it's seeing itself in the mirror. Little toddlers, 2-year-old humans do that. And believe it or not, dolphins can do it too. So dolphins will play in front of a mirror. They know they're watching themselves, and that's called consciousness. Dogs and cats cannot do that. So they do not have a state of consciousness the way we do. One of my favorite cartoons about this is a caveman, and he's just standing there looking stunned, and he says, "Holy smoke, I'm standing here." And that's a self-awareness that he's developed. So there are many altered states of consciousness. One is sleep. So for example, there are 5 stages of sleep, and the one you need to remember is called REM sleep, rapid eye movement, and that's what happens when you're dreaming. And your eyeballs are literally moving under your eyelids when you're dreaming. You can't tell if it's you who's the one sleeping, but if you ever watch somebody sleep, you can actually see their eyeballs moving, rapid eye movements. Teenagers like you, by the way, need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. If you don't get enough sleep, you're in constant sleep deprivation. And that's why I've given you a sleep deprivation test to take this week. You should definitely take it. And if you are sleep deprived, you should look in the lecture notes for ways that you can help yourself, because it really affects your health, your psychological well-being, as well as your physical well-being. And it can be very, very disruptive to be constantly sleep deprived, as I'm sure many of you know. In fact, during this pandemic, there's been a worldwide increase in insomnia. So people are all over the world are suffering from sleep deprivation because of the anxiety and tension caused by being in this pandemic. What else? Another altered state of consciousness is when you're dreaming. Nobody knows why we dream. Your dreams don't necessarily have deep meaning. So the newest theory is that your brain cells, your neurons, are sort of cleaning themselves out during the night to get ready for the next day. And they're randomly firing. The neurons are randomly firing. And dreams are just a way to figure out what those random firings mean. But they don't necessarily mean anything other than you're working through what happened to you during that day. What else? Hypnosis is an altered state of consciousness. So is when you're in a meditative state. Psychoactive drugs are another way to alter your consciousness. There are 3 different types of drugs. So the types of drugs are, number 1, depressants. And those are things like opiates and, believe it or not, alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant. It lowers your activity levels in your brain and everywhere else. Stimulants is the second type of drug, psychoactive drug. And stimulants include nicotine. Smokers have are an altered state of consciousness when they're smoking, and so is caffeine, by the way. Cocaine is a stimulant, and by the way, 100 years ago when they first started selling Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola actually had cocaine in it. That's why it's called Coca-Cola. It doesn't anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. And finally, the third type of drug is hallucinogens, and hallucinogens include LSD, psilocybin, and believe it or not, marijuana. Marijuana is a hallucinogen. If you don't know what that means, look it up in the lecture notes or your textbook. So this week you are, oh, and by the way, the two terms you need to know that have to do with addiction. You can have a psychological addiction or a physical addiction or both. So you can be physically addicted to nicotine, for example, but also have a psychological reliance on it. Just the act of smoking or being with friends, you find very calming. And so that's why you can be addicted to something like your phone. You can be addicted to your phone, to sugar, to Dunkin' Donuts. And there's an interplay between the psychological need you have for it as well as the physical need. And all of this is in the lecture notes. I highly recommend you take a look at them. This week you have 2 self-tests to take. So you should be taking the sleep deprivation test as well as the mindfulness test, because mindfulness just means you're paying attention to the moment. And a lot of us do things on autopilot, like you drive somewhere and you get there and you have no idea how you got there. You just did it automatically. That's not a good way to live. So this is week 5. I hope you enjoyed it. This bandage will be gone. And next time you're complaining about wearing your mask during the day, think about me wearing this all night long. Bye-bye.